It's all right. Okay. Hi, how are you? Are you okay? Yeah, perfect. So, I am Eleftheria. I'm coming from Greece. I'm really glad to be here. It's my first time, and I feel that we have similar cultures, so it's really awesome for me being here. I am a community manager, but my background is with front-end and app development, and I really care about things such as UX, hence this talk. Okay, you can also find me on most of the social media. I do use Twitter a lot, so if you have any questions, you can find me here, of course. You can ask me any questions you want, but also if you are a bit shy, you can find me on Twitter, or you can email me, or do whatever you like. Okay, before that. Okay, so we will talk about UX versus UI, so user experience versus user interface, because a lot of people have these two things very connected, but it's not the same thing. So we are here to talk about the differences and also the similarities. And what we are going to do differently, it's also we are going to see these two disciplines from the perspective of the designer/developer and the perspective of the user. Then we are going to see 10 rules of how you can create better products, and it doesn't matter what your product is, it doesn't matter if you have an app, if you have a physical product or whatever, these rules are going to work for everyone, guarantee. These rules are not by me, they are from Don Norman and Jacob Nielsen. And then we are going to have two shorter parts, the do's and don'ts of UX and the do's and don'ts of UI. It's going to be some tips, some, again, smaller rules and stuff like that. It's going to be fun, I promise. Okay, now let's start. Who said UX is easy and who said washing your hands is an easy task? Right. Now, what about elevators? This is also kind of UX. As I was searching for examples, elevators seems to be something very tricky because I also found another one. I don't know why it's so hard to create this kind of user interfaces and UXs. But then we also have this, which is not so fun. And now if we go to something a little bit closer to us as developers, you may have seen something like that. I mean, how hard should it be to set a password or reset a password? But I think that we've all seen something like that. And then maybe something like this as well, or even this. It depends on what you're doing, but I'm pretty sure that you have bumped into ugly interfaces or not so user-friendly interfaces. Yeah. Okay, now let's start with actually talking about UX and UI. I will start from the user's perspective because things are a little bit easier and we all have been users. So the user interface is what a user interacts with a product and what taps or clicks on. And the whole experience is localized in a device. Maybe we have our mobile phones, our laptops. The experience is there. On the other hand, the UX is how they feel when they're using a product. It's all about the how. And the experience is localized in our physical body. For example, if I'm using an app and this app doesn't work well, maybe my face will be like, ugh. Or I will move my hands up and down because I will not be happy with that particular app. Now, from the designer/the developer's perspective, things can be a little bit more complicated, and that's why I wanted to start with this analogy. You can see here this big icy mountain, but if you are in a distance, you can only see the tip of that iceberg, and this is UI, is only what you can see. But it's not only that. Underneath that, there is a whole other mountain. There is the icy weather at the sea that holds everything together. This is the UX. So again, from the designer's perspective or the developer's perspective, because I guess most of you are developers and this presentation is for developers, The user interface is what you can see and interact with, but the user experience is what you can see alongside with what you can't see and what holds everything together. Okay, now that we got this, let's go to some examples. I'll start with a simple one. So, would you prefer a riding-sharing app, you know, like Uber, that doesn't let you save your favorite destinations, or doesn't let you pick up your friends from the road, or you have to do stuff but you have to click a lot of buttons, or would you prefer another riding-sharing app with a very similar UI, but this time you can pay however you want, you can save your favorite destinations, you can pick up your friends, you can do whatever you want, and it's super easy and it works everywhere? I'm pretty sure that you would pick the second option. And this example, it might be obvious, but it's not. Because I have here another app. Are you familiar? It's called Free Now. Do you know this app? Okay, thank God you guys know that app. I'm from Greece, as I said, and we don't have Uber there or a lot of other similar apps, but we have Free App. It's the worst thing, I'm telling you guys. It's the worst thing. Their app, it doesn't work as it should work. And I have a lot of problems with that app, so I'm not going to rant a lot about it, but I also have a video here. It's from the reviews that other people left for this app. I also have, okay, that should be the resource that you can see it on your own, but you cannot see it. Anyway, this app has 1.2 stars out of 5, so you can imagine how it is. Yeah, anyway, we can talk about that later if you want. And I also went to their website just to see if people in Serbia can use it. And their website is so shitty, sorry. It doesn't say in which country you can use it. Okay. What does a UX designer do? They are doing a bunch of things. And I have here a pyramid. I will start from bottom to top. We have user research and analysis, content strategy, information architecture, interaction design, and visual design. The UX designer, or it could be the UX researcher, usually we have a lot of names. They will start from bottom to top, and mainly they will focus on the 3 bottom layers. I have, again, a lot of details. I'm not going to talk about them right now because I'm not sure if you want something like that, and I have quite a lot of details, but if someone is interested, you can find me after this talk or send me an email or on Twitter or something, and I will send you the presentation so you can look at it on your own. I will skip these slides, okay, and now let's move to UI. I have pretty much the same question, so what does a UI designer do? And this is a little bit trickier because people, when they hear UI, they think it's all about buttons, colors, maybe typography, maybe, and that's it. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not only that. For example, this is UI. We talk to a machine, the machine will give us answers, and this is UI. Another kind of UI, but still UI. And then we also have this. I'm not saying it's pretty, but I'm pretty sure you all have used something similar. It doesn't do, like it doesn't have icons, it doesn't have fancy typography, it doesn't have animations, but it's still UI. So I'm sharing these examples just to say that it's not only buttons and colors and stuff like that. Okay, so what does a UI designer do? Again, I have the same pyramid, only this time we will focus on the top 2 layers. So we have interaction design and visual design. So basically when we have all the information from all the other stages, this is when the UI designer is coming and they will handle all the other stuff. But first, we do need things such as research, which is something a lot of companies forget to do. We do need to have our users. This is really, really, really crucial because, again, a lot of companies they don't think about their users that much, or they think they know who the user is, and this is usually the biggest mistake. You have to go out and you have to speak with the users, you have to see how they're using your product. And we will talk about that a little bit later as well. Okay, again, I have a lot of details. I'm not going through them right now, but feel free to ask me about the presentation so you can see it on your own. Yeah, let's not forget about that. Okay, cool. Now I think that we are at the point that we know what UX is, we know what UI is, and we know that these two things are not the same thing. So again, a quick recap. When we talk about UX, it's all about how the user will feel when they are using our product, but UI is a lot more about, I don't want to say the visual stuff, because we saw that it's not only the visual, but a lot of times it has to do with this. So from the user's perspective, things can be a little bit like different, but for us, from the developers, the designers, the researchers' perspective, these two things are well connected. You can't have UI if you don't have UX. And I say that because I also see a lot of companies, when they are searching for a designer, they will only mention the design work that they have to do. But when you actually get the job and you go to the company, you will see that you have to be the researcher, you will have to do some statistics, some analytics and stuff like that. So keep that in mind, that it's not only about UI, but a lot of times, and that's how it should be, you have to do UX as well. And if they don't ask you to do UX, do that on your own. And this is also very crucial, because a lot of companies, smaller companies or startup companies, they will ask their developers, mainly their front-end developers or app developers, to take a lot of design decisions as well. And it's, I think, cool to know how to take and how to make these decisions better. And we will talk about that in a bit. Okay, I will skip that quote. Okay, now let's see the actual rules and some more examples. We have 10 usability heuristics. Heuristics means making decisions with the information that you already have. And as I mentioned when I was starting this presentation, these 10 rules are not coming by me, but they are coming by Jacob Nielsen and Don Norman, and they were manifested in 1995. Don Norman is the person that he, let's say, invented the UX. He's the pioneer of UX. He started as an engineer in the USA, and then he had a master's in psychology, and he was the first person that saw how people are using machines. And because he was the first people that really saw, he didn't just ask, how do you use that, but he observed how people are working with products and services and all this kind of stuff. And that's how UX was born. And after that, he started working at Apple, and now we have Apple as we know it. Anyway, enough with history. I'm going back to the rules, but just to know that. Cool. First rule, visibility of system status. Imagine taking your phone out, and as soon as you see the screen, you have information like time, maybe weather, maybe notifications, you have dates, maybe you have your important meetings, you have an image, something like that. Now, imagine someone taking all of those things from your phone. I think that you would feel somehow naked, right? And I have this example just to tell you that you have to show the important information, but you don't have to overdo it. For example, in my phone, I keep the calendar, but I don't have the details of the calendar. Then if I click the calendar, I can see everything. That's what we want with your product as well. You want to show the information, but you don't want to share and show everything. Okay, rule number 2. Match between the system and the real world. We used to have this kind of icons that you can see here, because when people started using products, maybe they didn't know what they could do with these icons, but if, for example, I have a folder, I know what it means. If I have a compass, I know what it means. So that's how we started using these icons, but also do the same with your words, with your phrases. Match them with, sorry, my watch. Okay, so we have that one as well, and I feel it's quite important. Maybe you and your friends have your argot, maybe you talk in a new or fancy way, but if your product is for everyone, keep it real and stick to things that people know. Let's go to the third rule, which is user control and freedom. You always need to have an emergency exit. That can be something simple like an exit button or a go back button, or maybe even a refresh, something like that, because either you want it or not, the user will make mistakes. It's not always up to you, but sometimes our users will make mistakes. Maybe they are in a hurry, maybe they didn't read something well. So you should always provide them an exit button, a go back button, an undo button, something like that, and we will talk about that again in a bit. So let's see the fourth rule, which is consistency and standards. And as I say here, it doesn't mean that because you are different, you are useful as well. Yes, if you have like a very creative app or a very creative idea, try that out, but it doesn't always mean that the different is cool and nice. Really, really test your ideas, test your products, because maybe you, your friends, your group, maybe you have a problem and you have a cool solution about that, but it doesn't mean that this is something that you can sell. It doesn't mean that it's something that you can market easily. So you always need to think about your users. If I have to give you like one tip out of all this presentation, it's always think about your users. And maybe you are also using your product, but you are not the user because you are the person who is developing that product, so you can't be only the user. Now, we have error prevention. This is quite crucial as well. We have two kinds of errors. We have slips and mistakes. When we have slips, that's the, let's say, easy task. Because with slips, yes, the user will make a mistake, but as we mentioned earlier, you will have the emergency exit button, something like that. So it's okay, our user will make a mistake, they will come back and they will do it again. That's cool. But you also have the mistakes, and this is quite harder because it means that our users are doing mistakes because they don't understand what our product is all about, what they can do with our product, and that's why they are doing mistakes. In that case, you should go back with your team, talk with your team, talk again with your users, see what the problem is, see why your users are doing that mistakes, fix it, and then ship it again. Cool. Now we have the sixth rule, which is recognition rather than recall. Our memory has we have two types of memories, and let's say this is recognition and recall. We always want recognition. Recognition is when you see something and you can immediately understand it or think about it, or in your memory you can easily revert and think about that specific thing that you're searching for. Whereas in recall, it's not so easy to remember things. For example, we tend to forget names, and we have to think about names, or if it's dates, sometimes we don't remember dates and we have to go back to our memory to remember a date. Now, in our products, in our applications, we always want the recognition. And recognition can be done quite easily. You can show images, for example, if they have to select something, if your users have to select something, you can have a drop-down menu so they can see the options and they don't have to think about them. If it's about dates, again, you can show them a calendar or something like that. Again, you have a lot of options. Always go for recognition rather than recall. And I have here this example from Coursera. I don't know if their UI is still the same because this example is a bit old, but I think that Coursera is doing an amazing job. Okay, let's go to flexibility and efficiency of use. Every user is unique and they have different needs and they also have different skills. You want to provide something for every type of users. And hopefully in your product you will have the first-time users, you will have the power users. Power users are the people who know what they're doing, and you will have the people in the middle. You want to provide something for everyone. So maybe the first-time users, they will want to do things a little bit slower. Maybe they need more information. Maybe they want to catch up with something. Maybe they want to save something a lot of times. I don't know. But on the other hand, the power users, maybe they want the connectivity. Maybe they want to do things fast. Maybe they want to share your product with someone else. You should provide something for everyone. Okay, and let's go to the 8th rule, which I think is my favorite rule. It's aesthetic and minimal design. We all have seen some ugly designs, am I right? And we all have ideas about how to fix them. But before we do that, let's go maybe to our product and again check it out in detail and see what we can improve in our product. Again, if I had to give you a couple of tips, the first thing that I would suggest you is don't overdo it with animations, okay? Animations are fun, but until a point, okay? I just maybe want to see some information that you have on your personal website. Maybe you have a portfolio, okay, I will go to your portfolio. If you have too many animations, that's distracting. Also, if you have too many colors, again, that's distractive. We don't want that. In the same example, in your personal portfolio, you're selling yourself. So I want to see some information about you. I don't want, as I said, fancy animations. I don't want weird typography. I want simple things. I just want to see information about you. Now, if you are a designer, maybe you say, okay, but I am a designer, I design my own page. Okay, cool. You can show me that through your projects, not through your website. And another tip about that is use a bigger font size. A lot of us are not in our 20s, okay, sorry, some of you are. But also a lot of us are not in our 20s, so we cannot read that small font size, okay? Come on, you can do it a little bit bigger. Thank you. Let's go to the 9th rule. We have help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. As I mentioned earlier, we will have the users that they will do some mistakes, some errors, and we should always provide something about that. Now, a really good approach is, after presenting that error, also help them recover from it. And in order for your users not to make the same mistake again, you could have something like that. For example, if your product is, the second one, right? So if your product is about uploading maybe images, you could mention, I only can accept this type of images and I cannot accept anything else. Even better, you can say that before the user goes to upload an image. And let's go to the 10th rule, which is help and documentation. You should strive to have the perfect product, but because it's hard, because you will have different type of users, it's also really important to have some kind of help and documentation. You don't need something big. You don't want something very fancy. You want to write simple stuff. And I say that because not everyone is also an English speaker and maybe your product is for everyone. So write simple stuff, not super technical, because again, you will have your first-time users, and strive to have something for everyone. Okay, that was for the 10 rules. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. But we have more things to say. Okay. The do's and don'ts of UX. I will show you here a few things and try to keep them in mind. So, thinking about the user does not guarantee a user-centered design, and we are all about that. Using the right UX research methods, techniques, and tool does. Also, don't assume you know what the users want. That's why we are testing with our real users. The key word here is real users. And don't follow the hippo at the rope. HIPPO stands for High Paid Person's Opinion. Just because your boss is paying you, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't say your true opinion. Do make the time and effort for user research, and don't just create a list of methods to click. Don't prototype too soon or don't code too soon. Again, test with real users. And sometimes people ask me, yeah, but I don't have a product, how will I test it? That's even better, because you can show them some designs. You don't even actually have to have those designs in your laptop. Maybe you can just scrap something in a paper and you can ask them, okay, which one do you prefer, this or this, that or that? Or if you see this, what are you going to do with that? Can you understand what that thing is? It's really easy to test with your users. And an extra tip here, if you want like real opinions, again, don't go with your friends, because your friends probably like you and they will say, yeah, you have the coolest product. But go to your ex-partner, go to your mother-in-law. They will say the truth, trust me. Do focus on what people do rather than on what they say. So observe people, observe them really. Don't overlook existing insights from customer care representatives. And if you have the chance to see I don't know if you have a support system or if you have someone in your company that are handling the support tickets and stuff like that, but if you have the opportunity to work maybe just for a week in that department, do that, because you will see what the users are asking, what the users can't understand, and then you can fix those stuff or you can change those stuff. I did that in my past company, and it was eye-opening. So do collaborate. You're not alone. You have around you a lot of people, and even if you are freelancing alone or if you are developing your own project, again, go out there, talk about it, go to meetups, go to conferences, talk about it. You're not alone. Do find someone qualified to do your research or become one yourself, and hopefully with this presentation I have helped you a bit with that. And let's go to the final part of the session, the good and the bad of UI. I will show you 2 things at a time, and think about yourself. It's like a small quiz. Think about yourself. Which side would you pick? I'll skip that. Okay, so the designers or the developers' mindset. The good designers listens to everyone from decision makers, team members, and stakeholders, whereas the bad one judges and suggests solutions all the time. You can pick up your sides. Then the good one questions the status quo. The bad one follows the rule of we've always done it that way, and I'm quite sure that you've heard that in your company, or if you haven't, that's better. And then the good one digs deep to find the real problem and the real solutions, whereas the bad one will only assume something and will try to persuade everyone else that he's right about that. Now, the good one takes time and asks, again, questions, is always uncertain about their understandings and designs, whereas the bad one follows their assumptions and is always certain about their work. If you think that you're okay with all of this, maybe you can think about your colleagues or how you could make in your company the situation a little bit better by understanding these 2 different types of designers. Now, the good one has many solutions and ideas and tries always to find issues and flaws in their work, whereas the bad one has only one idea and they are trying to make people believe that their idea is the best one and is always defending about their work. Now, the good one loves working with others, collaborating, as we said earlier, and revisits their thought, has something to learn from everyone in the team, whereas the bad one loves to work alone and tries to confirm their thoughts and thinks they know everything. Now, the good one loves to be wrong and seeks feedback, whereas the bad one loves to be always right and seeks praise. Now, the good one leads, whereas the bad one follows. That's it. Thank you very much. And